036, who was in the attendee list. He's our applicant. He's having issues with the Zoom. So when he comes back on, can we include him as a panelist? Is it possible to admit the phone number ending in 036 as a panelist?
I'll try to figure it out.
Thank you.
Are we live on YouTube?
Yes, you are live.
Thank you. Good morning, and welcome to our Queensborough President Hybrid Land Use Public Hearing. This hearing is taking place both in person and in the Borough President's Conference Room at 120-55 Queens Boulevard in Kew Gardens, and on our website at www.queensbp.org. I am the Director of Housing, Lisa Atkins, and I will be chairing this land use public hearing on behalf of the Queensborough President. For those who wish to testify virtually and haven't already pre-registered to do so, please visit www.queensbp.org/landuse. If you are attending our public hearing in person, please see our staff to sign up for the public speaking time if you haven't already done so. Please note, your opportunity to speak will follow those who have pre-registered. Written testimony is welcome from those who are unable to testify. All written testimony must be received by 5 p.m. today and may be submitted by email to planning@queensbp.org or by conventional mail sent to the office of the Queensborough President, 120-55 Queens Boulevard, Room 226, Kew Gardens, New York, 11424. I will now review how the public hearing will proceed. The chair reserves the right to ask speakers for clarifications on further information regarding the application or comments. I will now begin. Calendar item number 1, ULURP number 240363ZMQ, affected community board number 7, the applicant Martin A. Gleason Funeral Home LLC. Applicant, please begin your testimony. Thank you.
Thank you and good morning, Ms. Atkins. Richard Lobel of Sheldon Lobel PC. I'm joined by Fan Baton from my office. With me as well as John Golden, the applicant, as well as Jonathan Baker, the project architect. We will now present a brief presentation with regards to the Gleason Funeral Home commercial overlay rezoning. This is a very straightforward rezoning involving the mere extension of a C22 commercial overlay, which is already appearing on the subject block. Next slide. So the proposal before the Queensborough President's Office today proposes a zoning map amendment to rezone 3 lots, 1015 and 1025 150th Street, as well as 150 19 11th Avenue, block 4515, lots 1, 6, and 52 in Whitestone from an existing R2A district to an R2A C22 district. This rezoning would permit the conversion of lot 6, a roughly 5,000 square foot lot, to allow for accessory parking for the applicant's funeral home. This lot would contain 22 new parking spaces for the funeral home, while lots 1 and 52 will continue to maintain 36 accessory spaces. These proposed parking spaces would reduce the need for off-street parking during funeral services. The next slide is the zoning map, which demonstrates the R2A district currently on the property. And you can also see, and we'll be able to see as we go through the area map, that there's already C22 zoning both on the eastern portion of this block as well as directly across the street from the subject site, making this an appropriate rezoning. The next slide is the tax map, which shows the entirety of the development area as well as the rezoning area. Lot 1, the corner lot, it's a roughly 25,000 square foot lot, which houses the funeral home. Lot 52 to the right is a roughly 10,000 square foot lot, which is currently has 29 parking spaces. Both of these lots were the subject of BSA variance applications, which allowed for the initial establishment of a larger funeral home as well as parking. And then the remaining lot, which is the subject of this application, lot 6, is in the northwest portion of the rezoning area. Next slide is the area map, which I think well demonstrates why the proposed rezoning is appropriate. We note, of course, that the C22 already exists on the east of this block within 100 feet from Clintonville, as well as across 11th Avenue, diagonally across from the property. In addition to which a large community facility, church, Holy Cross appears, is located across from the property, across 11th Avenue. This corner has had a long-standing commercial existence, given the funeral home having been here for decades. And so this modest commercial rezoning here would not do anything to harm the character of the surrounding area. The next several slides are photographs. If we want to page through those and just merely show the funeral home as well as the surrounding area, what this rezoning really addresses is the parking situation in the area, which is quite challenging, particularly during services at the funeral home. And so this would allow us to alleviate some of that parking demand. And indeed, the studies we have done demonstrate that this would greatly improve the traffic and congestion in the area during times of funeral services. I would now turn the presentation over to Jonathan Baker, who can address the architectural aspects of the proposal. Jonathan?
Thank you, Richard. Good morning. As Richard just sort of went through, we have obviously this is the zoning analysis for the existing zoning and the proposed overlay. So there's just another zoning map on the upper left-hand side. The subject property in the aerial photograph, you can see the funeral home on the corner of 11th and 150th. The existing parking, which is by BSA to the east side of that, then the subject lot 6 to the north of the existing funeral home. The rest of the zoning analysis just describes the current use of the property, which is non-conforming, grandfathered in as a funeral home, as well as accessory parking, which would be as of right under a C2-2 overlay. We can go to the next slide. Again, this is a larger overview of the block. The subject property is in the lower left-hand corner, lots 1, 6, and 52. So if we zoom in on the next slide, we can see the sort of existing parking layout. There's existing parking on both lot 52 and lot 1. And we would like to incorporate lot 8, surface parking on lot 8, which you'll see in the next slide, sort of the design layout which increases the number of parking significantly, and it's sort of split between lot 1 and lot 6. But as Richard said earlier, it increases parking on the lot by 22 spaces and would decrease street parking for funeral services. If we go to the next slide, this is just the landscaping plan, which is for sort of the DSA guidelines. We'd introduce at and around lot 6, there'd be 4 or 2 street trees, 2 perimeter trees, and then perimeter planting and screening to completely screen the parking from the street, both 11th Avenue, but more the 150th Street, which is just adjacent. The curb cut would be a new curb cut. We'd be combining the 2 existing curb cuts for a double aisle, pulling into lot number 6, and then the existing parking sort of at the back of lot 1 would be accessed by that driveway, which again is double loaded, and so most of the parking there is there on the corner adjacent to the street. When we went through community board, there was a request for signage to indicate that a left turn out of the double driveway is prohibited, which we agreed to just to alleviate sort of bottlenecks when people are pulling out of lot 6, pulling out of the funeral home. The rest of the landscaping sort of shown on that plan is existing. There's generous trees and screening, and also like quite a topographical, there's a large grade change on the site. So along 150th Avenue and then around the front of the funeral home, there's some very nice planting that's mature and existing. And we're not really disturbing any of that. Most of our planting is just around lot 6, around the new lot. And these are photographs. On the top 2 are of the funeral home. The first is from 150th Street, and then the second one is 11th Avenue. And then on 11th Avenue, you can see the existing surface parking by BSA, which show it has a gated entrance because it was required to be closed in the evenings, and then the perimeter screening along the lot line.
Thank you,
Thank
Jonathan.
you. You bet.
So to conclude, Ms. Atkins, we really feel that this is a reasonable rezoning, a commercial overlay rezoning, as is presented here, is among the less intrusive rezonings that are available. We're really taking an existing context and allowing for a local institution, which is highly regarded and well respected, to alleviate some traffic and parking concerns in the area. And I would just add, as I know Kevin Williams from GZA Environmental is on with us, that the studies that have been presented to city planning demonstrate that this will indeed have a beneficial effect on the surrounding area. And with that, the entire applicant team is happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Yes, I see that the community board, at the community board hearing, you identified the traffic mitigation and agreed to those requests on behalf of the board, as well as, this funeral home is a well-known establishment for community service for decades. And with that, the community board agreed unanimously in favor of this application. Outside of that, I'm assuming that the commitment has been identified in writing on your behalf. And
And we were happy to have the community board's unanimous support. And in addition, we were happy with the number of speakers who had not been contacted by John Golden or our office, who individually offered their testimony in favor of the applicant and discussed the fact that John was a trustworthy neighbor and community member, and that the funeral home was very well respected.
Indeed. Do we have any registered speakers on behalf of this application?
No, we don't.
All right, then, given there are no speakers, I'd like to close this hearing. Again, if there's anyone who wishes to submit anything, they may do so in writing conventionally by contacting the Office of the Queensborough President via email by 5 p.m. today, or in writing, we will certainly receive that. Thank you. Thank you for your time. And with that, I close this hearing. The next Queensborough Public Land Use Public Hearing will be October 17th. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Kat.